The story concerning Michael Jordan's physical conditions. He is suffering from flu-like symptoms. Jordan to the crossover. Yes. Not bad for a guy playing with flu symptoms. And Jordan puts moves on Hornacek. Michael Jordan is back, putting the maroon on Chris Mars.
Michael Jordan, again, the total exhaustion on the bench.
And the steal by Jordan. Putting behind the back on Russell. He turned it around and fed it to Pippen. And tipped home by Jordan. What a play by Michael Jordan.
It was Game 5 of the 1997 NBA Finals. The Chicago Bulls and the Utah Jazz were tied at 2 games apiece. The crowd in Salt Lake City was roaring, expecting an epic battle. But as Michael Jordan walked onto the court, something wasn't right. His face was pale. His steps were slow. He looked sick. Some fans whispered it was the flu. Others said food poisoning. A few even thought he had been deliberately poisoned. Whatever it was, Jordan was clearly battling more than just the Jazz that night. What followed would become one of the most iconic performances in the history of sports. Stay with us, because this is not just a game. This is survival. This is legend. This is the flu game. The stage was set. Chicago, already a dynasty with 4 titles in 6 years, was gunning for a 5th ring. The Utah Jazz were fighting for their first ever championship, led by 2 Hall of Famers, Karl Malone and John Stockton. The series was everything fans could have hoped for: intense, physical, and filled with drama. And yet, nothing could have prepared anyone for what was about to unfold on June 11th, 1997. The night before Game 5, Michael Jordan was in a hotel room in Park City, Utah. Hungry, he ordered a pizza late at night. According to Jordan's longtime trainer, Tim Grover, 5 men delivered it. A detail that's raised eyebrows for years. Hours later, Jordan was curled up on the floor, shivering, vomiting, and barely able to move. Was it food poisoning? Was it the altitude? Or was something more sinister at play? The truth has never been fully confirmed. When Grover and the Bulls staff checked on him in the morning, they were alarmed. Jordan looked like a man on the verge of collapse. He was severely dehydrated, feverish, and unable to eat. Team doctors hooked him up to an IV. Even his own mother told him not to play. But telling Michael Jordan not to play in the NBA Finals is like telling a lion not to hunt. He wasn't having it. As the team prepared for shoot-around, Jordan stayed in bed. He didn't move. No warm-ups, no media appearances, no pep talks. Just pain, exhaustion, and the weight of the basketball world on his shoulders. At this point, many thought he wouldn't suit up. But this is MJ we're talking about. The competitor. The assassin. The moment Jordan walked into the arena, visibly, weak and sweating, the atmosphere shifted. When the game tipped off, it was clear that something was wrong. Jordan looked fragile. He moved slower than usual. But within minutes, he hit his first jump shot. Then another. And another. Even in his sickest state, Jordan's muscle memory, focus, and sheer willpower kicked in. The crowd began to murmur. Was he really going to try and play through this? The Bulls struggled in the first quarter. They trailed by 13. The Jazz were rolling, feeding off their home crowd. But then came the second quarter, and that's when Jordan decided it was time. In a dizzying display of will over body, Jordan dropped 17 points in the second quarter alone, driving to the rim, hitting fadeaways, drawing fouls, and making free throws. Each play left him gasping for air, but he kept going. It wasn't just basketball anymore, it was survival. Jordan wasn't playing the game. He was fighting it. By halftime, the Bulls were back in it. Jordan stumbled to the locker room, drenched in sweat, arms draped over teammates for support. But you could see it in his eyes. He wasn't done. In The third quarter, Jordan took a step back. He needed rest. Others like Pippen and Kukoc stepped up, but the Jazz still led heading into the final stretch. With 12 minutes left, Jordan returned to the court, and what happened next became eternal. He hit a clutch three-pointer to tie the game at 77. Then another jumper to take the lead. Every possession was a gamble. Would he have enough energy? Would his body hold up? Each shot felt like a final breath. And somehow, he kept breathing. With under a minute remaining, the game tied at 85. Jordan stole the ball and found himself with one more chance to deliver. He received a pass from Pippen, rose up from the top of the key, and nailed it. Bulls 88, Jazz 85. That shot, that moment, was pure Michael Jordan. The Jazz responded with a quick bucket, but on the next possession, the Bulls scored again, sealing the win. As the final buzzer sounded, Jordan collapsed into Scottie Pippen's arms, utterly drained, barely able to stand. That image, Jordan leaning on Pippen, has become iconic. A snapshot of what greatness looks like when it refuses to surrender. Jordan finished with 38 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals in 44 minutes. On paper, it was a typical MJ stat line. In context, it was one of the most heroic efforts in sports history. He wasn't supposed to play. He wasn't supposed to walk. And yet, he carried his team to victory. 2 nights later, the Bulls returned to Chicago and closed out the series in Game 6. Steve Kerr hit the game-winning jumper, but the Finals MVP was never in question. Jordan had earned his 5th Finals MVP, thanks largely to Game 5. Years later, Jordan called it probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And when you watch the footage, you understand why. He defied logic. He defied pain. He defied every human limitation. The shoes he wore during the flu game, Air Jordan 12s, sold at auction for nearly $1.4 million in 2023. That's not just memorabilia. That's a relic of basketball mythology. And to this day, when fans debate Jordan's greatest moments, they mention the shot, the shrug, the last dance. But the flu game stands alone. It wasn't just about skill. It was about heart. It was about pushing through the impossible. Greatness isn't just talent. It's what you do when you have nothing left to give and still give everything. Almost 30 years later, the flu game still gives us chills. Not just because of what Jordan did, but because of what it means. It's a reminder that champions aren't born when it's easy. They're revealed when it's hardest, so the next time you're tired, overwhelmed, or ready to quit, remember that night in Salt Lake City. Remember the greatest player in the world, barely able to stand, dropping 38 points against all odds. That's Michael Jordan. That's the flu game. And that's why some games are played for eternity.
The night before the game, we were all in Michael's room.
But it's like 10:30 at night. I'm hungry.
We find one pizza place open.
When the pizza came, there was 4 or 5 guys outside the door.
They're all trying to look in, and, everybody knew it was mine. I put this pizza down, and I said, I got a bad feeling about this.
I eat the pizza all by myself. Nobody else eats. I wake up about 2:30, throwing up left and right.
At 3:30 this morning, Michael Jordan woke up with flu-like symptoms, and he couldn't go back to sleep.
I stayed in bed all day. Couldn't eat anything, couldn't hold nothing down. Phil comes in and said, what do you think? I said, look, I'm going to try. It's Game 5, so I'm going out. I'm going to play.
Jordan, yes. Fires for, yes.
Sits back and they put the ice bag on his neck.
I mean, he went somewhere and he found a switch.
Here's Jordan. Yes.
Had shown that no matter how sick he was, he's still the best player in the world.
So it really wasn't the flu game. It was food poisoning.
If you felt inspired by this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with a fellow basketball fan. More legendary moments are coming. Make sure you're here to witness them.